5, and we are talking about the sense of hearing, I won't need to talk a whole lot so that you can tune in internally and it's not the external information. That makes sense. And then week 6, of course, with our intuition being even more so that way, where we use the postures in a way that's most benefiting for our mind, body, and energy for that day. So we'll see how it goes. Haven't tried that with this group yet, and it's 6 weeks, so I figured, you know what, give it a try, do a little test experiment with it, and if it doesn't land real well, then we know for next fall to try something different. So this is called Pratyahara. The Yoga Sutras, it's an ancient yoga text that was written by Patanjali, and he developed throughout it's 4 books of yoga teachings, and he developed throughout it this concept of Ashtanga yoga, which has these 8 limbs. So Pratyahara is the 5th limb, and the concept is you have your yamas are how you interact, how you show up in the world. Your niyamas are how you your relationship with yourself, how you interact with yourself. And then you have the asana. That's the physical posture that we tend to focus a lot on in these classes. The asana is there specifically to get us in touch with the breath. And then the breath is used for us to refine the information that's coming in through our senses so it doesn't overwhelm our mind, body, and energy, because our world, especially today, is so overwhelming with a lot of the sensory inputs that we take in. And so it helps us to refine that so that then for the 6th limb, the 6th aspect is mindfulness. And if you're not able to control what's coming in externally, it's really difficult then to be mindful and self-aware. So that's where we're coming from. So we're going to start on any comfortable seated position that you prefer. And I'm going to do just a regular, easy seated, comfortable pose. And then from there, take a moment, get the wiggles out. There is a reason why we focus on that physical piece. We get energy stuck in the body. It's difficult for that energy, for our bodies and our minds to find that space that it needs to be able to rest and relax and become more mindful. So wiggle the shoulders, adjust the fingers, take what you need to settle in. Once you're there, if it's comfortable for you, go ahead and close your eyes. If that's not comfortable, you're going to settle your gaze on the floor in front of you. And then notice the parts of the body that are touching the floor. So the legs, possibly being able to sense what we call the sits bones, those bony protrusions that come to the base of our pelvis. And from the pelvis, imagining the vertebrae stacking in their natural curves all the way up to the crown of the head. So that as you lift the crown of the head to the ceiling, feel a more expansiveness across the front of the chest. Collarbones soften, the shoulders release away from the ears, and the shoulder blades slide down in their back pockets. We like that expansive chest, that lengthened back, so that now as we bring our attention to our breath, we can feel like there's a little bit more space to draw the breath to the depths of the lungs. Thinking about the air moving all the way down past that bottom front rib, Possibly feeling the belly expand and soften on the inhale. And on the exhale, just a gentle tuck of the belly button towards the spine, chest deflates, the collarbones lower, and you feel all that used air leave the nose. So when we consider our sensory systems, information we take in, we're going to focus today on the sense of smell. For our purposes today, that one may feel a little bit more subtle, maybe even a little less accessible. What we're going to be working towards over the next 6 weeks is where can we detach from things that we're really attached to in our sensory world? Where can we lessen our reactivity to things that might cause aversion in our sensory world? And how can we help to refine all of our 6 senses so that the information that we're taking is helping us to bring joy, gratitude, self-compassion, build resilience, more empathy, more hope in how we show it. So you may have already noticed as you bring your attention to the sense of smell that there's certain smells that perhaps you weren't even aware of before. That's okay. And let go of that. Or hang on to it, whatever feels best for you. To lengthen those inhales and exhales, notice if you're able on that lengthened exhale to release just a little bit of tension anywhere in the body, between the eyebrows, between the shoulder blades, maybe the toes, fingers. Take about 2 to 3 more cycles. Lengthen inhale. And on your final one, on the exhale, just gently lower the chin and blink. Inhaling, you're going to lift the chin so that it's approximately parallel to the floor. We're going to start each of these classes with what is called the Shanmukhi Mudra. And it is literally considered the gate to the 6 senses. So thumbs plug the ears, or just go on the outside of the ears if you're not comfortable plugging them. The index fingers just are going to either rest lightly on the eyelids or on the eyebrows if you're not comfortable closing your eyes. Middle finger is just resting on the outside of the thumb. Yeah, glasses are going to be a little bit, and you can fudge this around as much as you would like. Your ring fingers between the nose and the upper lip. Oh. Yeah. And then your pinky right underneath the lower lip. So you're closing your mouth, you're closing both eyes, you're closing the ears, and then there are practices where you actually close the nostril. We're not there yet, so we're just going to rest the middle fingers right on the outside of it. If you are plugging your ears, the purpose for this is for you to be able to close all of the gates to the sense organs and then just hear your breath. We're going to take 5 cycles of inhales and exhales, either with your ears plugged or not, of whatever your comfort level is. Focus on it. Faster or slower than I am, that's totally fine at your own pace. When keep my so whenever you become overwhelmed, find yourself in a quiet corner. It can be really, really helpful to down-regulate the central nervous system. Just give you a moment to get yourself grounded. All right, so from there, we are going to start with, I need to uncross my legs, so if you need to adjust too, since we've been in this position for a while, go ahead and adjust however you are. Taking an inhale, we're going to reach the arms up now. And then as you exhale, bring the right hand to the right hip, the left hand comes to the left knee, and you're gazing over the right shoulder. And then we're going to take that inhale and lift the left arm. This time, exhale is a side bend to the right. And then inhale, lift both arms up. Your exhale brings the left hand to the left hip, right hand comes to the knee, and you look over the left shoulder. Just notice whatever sensations might be coming up in any of the muscles or joints, and then inhale, that right arm comes out, up, and circles over side bend to the left. Inhale, both hands up. This time we're going to exhale, bring the hands down in front of the legs. If you're feeling already sensation in the hips or outer thighs, you're going to hang out where you are, or just start to walk your hands forward any amount until you feel the sensation in low back, hips, outer thigh that is telling you that that's far enough. Hold here for another breath. And then inhale, lift. Exhale the hands back around behind you. Fingertips are going to point towards the seat. And you're just going to lean into the palms, lift the sternum towards the ceiling. Gaze can come up or gaze can be down in front of you. And note which leg is in front or on top. Take another inhale, come forward. You're going to switch the legs around. Inhale, reach the arms up. This time we're going to exhale and side bend to the left first, so you all are going to go that way. And then inhale, lift up and twist to the left. Right hand to the left knee. This time notice if there's space to go just maybe a bit further, not forcing. Inhale, both arms up. Exhale, side bend to the right. Imagine all the spaces between the ribs on the left side body opening up. Inhale and lift. And your exhale takes you into twist to the right. Both arms up on the inhale. And then your exhale lowers your hands down in front of you. And then this time, notice if it feels, how it feels. Maybe differently one side to the other, depending on which leg is on top. Inhale again, lift up. And then let's do one more back bend. Hands come behind you. If it feels right to bend into the elbows and get a little bit deeper into that back bend, just imagine that you're pulling the front bottom ribs down and in to support that low back, and then lift up. Swinging the legs around, doesn't matter which direction you go, we're just gonna make our way onto all fours, coming into tabletop. Taking a moment to get some mobility action into some of the joints that we'll be using a lot. So taking an inhale, we're gonna come into cow pose. So you're dropping the belly, lifting the chin, lifting the tail. And then your exhale, you're gonna tuck chin and tail and round the middle back all the way up to the ceiling. Then inhale back to your neutral spine. I'm gonna do the same thing, but this time turn the fingers to face the outer edge of the mat. If that's not a fit for you, you're gonna either keep your hands front or just slightly angle the fingertips out. And then another round of cow-cat. Inhaling cow. Exhaling to cat. Back to neutral spine on the inhale. And then this is not a fit for everyone necessarily, but if you want to notice the sensation of turning the fingertips further back again. Again, it doesn't have to be fingertips all the way to the knees. It can be angled to the side. Inhaling into cow. Exhaling into cat. And then either keeping your fingertips where they are or turning them back to the front. We're going to start to walk the fingertips towards the knees. Tucking the toes into the mat. Start to lower the seat back. Maybe the seat touches the heels, maybe it doesn't. You're going to let the bottoms of your feet and your ankles tell you the level of sensation that they are ready for right now. If you're not feeling really much of any sensation at all, you can drop the seat all the way to the heels, release the hands, and lift the torso up. Depends on, everybody's a little bit differently, and those bottoms of the feet carry a lot of tension and a lot of nerve endings. So don't push them, just waking up the toes. On your inhale, you're going to walk back forward, come into your tabletop. Inhaling, you're going to lift that right knee off the ground, tuck it up towards the right elbow maybe, and then exhale, push the heel back behind you. Do that one more time. Inhaling, tucking the knee up and in. Exhaling, pushing the heel back. This time, take that knee to center, leave it off the ground, and then you're going to lift it up to the side. And notice if you can feel just that engagement, maybe a little bit of burning right at the hip. Take one more breath here. Exhale and release it down. Same thing with the left knee. Just let it hover to start. Inhaling, you're going to pull that knee up towards the elbow. Maybe it touches, maybe it doesn't. Exhale, you're going to push the heel back to the wall behind you. Moving slowly with your breath, do it again. Exhale. And then bring that knee back in. This time, lift the knee up out to the side. Where do you feel sensation? Breathe there. Notice if you can release any tension on the exhale. And then you exhale and sit down. Nice. Shifting the hips side to side, maybe some barrel rolls, any kind of organic movement through the spine. Whatever feels good or is calling to you. And then just stepping forward 1 foot at a time, landing in forward fold at the top of your mat. For this first forward fold especially, really encourage the knees to be bent as much as your low back and hamstrings are asking for. Let the head hang heavy. Try to imagine tension just kind of cascading out of the back of the neck, from the shoulders, down out the head. Arms are just like noodles. Inhale the hands to the shins, extend the spine halfway, forward fold. And then release it all again, just let it dangle. Using your feet as your foundation, knees soft, with the inhale, 1 vertebra at a time. Ragdoll, slowly standing up. Shoulders come up, back and down, crown of ceiling last. And then with the feet as your foundation. If it's comfortable, you can close your eyes. Otherwise, just rest your gaze wherever comfortable for you. Think about stacking the joints. Knees over ankles, hips over knees, bottom front rib down towards the top of the pelvis, shoulder blades melting down towards the back waist, crown of the head lifting, sternum reaching towards the chin. Notice how that feels. And then notice what you smell. Notice your reaction or your response to what you smell. And then notice what you can let go of. Where can you focus your attention? What can anchor your mind to non-reactivity? So our sense of smell is actually associated with our root chakra. So you're going to see that come up today. Do some psoas opening onto the quads. Inhaling, we're going to reach the arms up, lift them to the ceiling, and then as you exhale, your right hand comes behind you, your left hand in front, and you're going to gaze over the right shoulder. Gentle twist. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, twist to the left. Inhale, reach up. Soften the knees. Exhale to bring the hands through center and come back into your fold. Inhale into your half fold, extend that spine. And then exhale, wide starfish hands, drop them to the mat, and you're going to step your feet back all the way to the opposite end of your mat, and you can either keep the knees off or you can drop the knees to the mat, whichever you prefer, especially for this first round. In whichever plank position you've chosen, you're going to inhale, engage the belly button towards the spine, pull the shoulder blades down towards the back waist, and then squeeze the elbows into the rib cage as you lower all the way down to the floor in your chaturanga. You're going to inhale and just baby back bend, lift the sternum from the floor. Tuck the toes into the mat. Exhale to lower the chest. And on your inhale, you're going to push back up through tabletop. And then if you choose, you stay in tabletop or you float the knees up, lift the hips to the ceiling, come into that inverted V or Ardha Mukha Shavasana, your downward facing dog. For your first one, if you're choosing downward facing dog, you're going to alternate the heels, maybe shift hips side to side, any kind of movement that feels like it's helping to release and open up more space in the hamstrings, low back, arms, and upper back. Take one more full breath. And then on your inhale, gaze comes towards your hands, and we will all meet in tabletop. So if you're in down dog, drop the knees down to the floor. You're going to take the next inhale and draw that right foot up to where your right hand was. Then see how it feels on your knee. If you need to double up the mat, go ahead and fold it over. We're going to bring a little bit of weight to the knee. If that's not appropriate for you, then you're going to keep the toes tucked in and float the knee up and off. Otherwise, we're going to inhale, bring the hands to the top of the thigh, or reach the arms up towards the ceiling. Again, notice what's happening with the shoulders. This is just again a bit of a baby back bend. If the gaze towards the hand isn't going to help your neck much for the evening, then bring the gaze down towards the floor. Take the hands, exhale, and bring them to the hips. Notice, because I can see right away in myself when I'm looking at that screen, and it's not what I prefer. So notice what's happening with that right hip. It likes to, for me anyway, it likes to sass out to the right side, which means that then my pelvis is tilting. So I'm just going to kind of encourage it to maybe come more towards midline. And when I do that, at the same time, I'm going to pull the right heel towards the left knee, pull the left knee towards the right heel. They're not going to move, but that isometric movement to kind of help even out my pelvis a little bit. Excellent. Take another inhale here. Exhale to release the hands, frame that front leg, and then shifting the hips back, straightening out that front leg any amount. So there might still be a significant bend in the knee, and that's fine. We're going to come into your Ardha Humanasana, half splits. Splits are, it's the monkey, and I'm coming up blank on this name right now, but anyway, half splits. Same thing on this type of movement. Encourage that right side of your pelvis, that right hip to kind of maybe move back in space a little bit, and the left hip to kind of move center again, centering that pelvis. Notice the sensation in the hamstring. Take an inhale. Your exhale lowers the foot down to the floor. Float the back knee off. Turn that left foot out at an angle, and then you're going to inhale with a bend in the front knee. Float the arms up, coming right into your Virabhadrasana 1. Warrior 1. We're encouraging the pelvis towards the top of the mat, but I'm not going to ask you to force it, please. And then notice how it feels if you move your feet further or closer together, distant, the width-wise of your mat, or if you angle the ankles just a little differently, and how much more space you may have one way versus the other. I'll have a little different skeleton, so it doesn't really work to follow exactly what somebody else might look like. You're going to exhale the hands now to the hips. Come to the ball of your back foot. Take an inhale to prepare. Exhale, you're going to step it forward and land both feet together. If you know chair pose and you know how you like your feet, go ahead and go there. I'm going to cue feet close-ish together for this one. If you know you want your feet wider, totally cool. You're going to start to bend the knees, drop your seat like it has a weight on the tailbone down towards the floor. Sternum is still trying to shine out from between your upper arms. If you notice that you're really arching that low back, think about that weight on the tailbone, and then inhale, reach the arms forward as if you're serving somebody a platter of something that smells delicious and brings you joy. Take another full inhale. You're going to bring all your weight into your left foot. See if you can float the heel of the right foot, maybe the toes of the right foot. Hold one more breath. And then on the exhale, you're going to just slide those right feet all the way to the back of your mat. So now your right knee is kind of pointing itself right down towards the mat, just so that we can move that pelvis again towards center. So now that psoas muscle that attaches at our thoracic spine and threads across to attach our legs to our trunk, feeling that opening up again. Inhale to reach both arms up. Exhale, you're going to take that right arm back around behind you, swing it around your low back. Reach that left arm up, and then gaze can come over your right shoulder if you choose. Take one more breath. Nice. Inhale, extend your legs. Pivot so that you can drop that back heel down. Jackie, I think you're going to know where I'm going. You know me pretty well. Inhale, reach arms, both arms up. You're going to grab left wrist with right hand. And as you exhale, you're going to take that side bend towards the back of your mat. So towards your right heel. Sky Archer. All the spaces between the side ribs, opening up, getting more space for the breath. Inhale, lift the torso up, bring the arms out to that letter T. And then on the exhale, you're going to bend into that front knee, coming into now your Virabhadrasana 2. Nice. Encourage that knee to kind of move towards its pinky toe rather than caving in. That's a little harder than this one. Move it out. Gaze over your front middle finger. If you notice as you inhale that there's just this natural inclination to kind of squeeze the shoulders up to the ears. On the exhale, let it release. Inhale both hands together at heart center. Extend that front leg long. On the exhale, you're going to start to bend into the back knee, your right knee, as you lift the left toes up. Now you can hang out right here. You can bring both hands to the right thigh, maybe even rest the elbow on the thigh if that feels right for you. If you're noticing too much sensation in that front leg, give it a little bit of a soft bend. If you want to keep going all the way down into a really low, deep lunge, and it's not for everyone, you can start to lower yourself, maybe bringing your weight to that heel. And then hands are either going to frame that front foot, or if you really need a challenge today, and not everybody does, you're going to hug the femur bone of the left leg with its quadricep, and then perhaps float the left arm, perhaps float the right arm. Our sense of sight is really beneficial. Ooh, look at, I've got a little cheat here. Oh, I'll get you guys chairs. Exhale, you're going to bring both hands inside that front knee if you're all the way down there. Now you're going to use the hands so that there's not so much torque on that knee to inhale and lift your hips back up. Walk like a yogi walk all the way to the front thigh and land the elbow on the left thigh. Just like that, Jackie. Perfect. Right hand comes to the hip. Gaze up over that right shoulder. We're going to come into this variation of extended side angle for this week, and then we'll kind of add on as the weeks go by. Take another inhale here. Exhale, you're going to windmill those hands, bring everything down to frame that front foot, pivot on your back foot, and then a nice big step forward and land in forward fold. Soften the knees and just let everything hang out. Hold it there. Let's take about 2, maybe 3 cycles of breath. And then inhale, hands to the shins, half lift the spine. Exhale, take just a bit of a fold. And then on your inhale, pressing into the bottoms of the feet, let's lift the arms, lift the torso, reach the arms up over the head. This time you're going to exhale, we're going to soften the knees and come into a twist to the left to start. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, and twist to the right. Notice if your gaze can go just a little bit deeper than it did first. Inhale, lift up. Bring the hands together, soften the knees, tuck the tailbone in towards the body, and then notice how much more of a back bend you want to take. And then exhale, bring it up and forward and land back in your forward. Inhale, extend the spine, lengthen it out. And then exhale, nice wide starfish hands, drop them down to the mat. You're going to step your feet towards the back edge of your mat. If you took the knees down last time, maybe you want knees up. Vice versa, if you took the knees up, maybe you want knees down this time. Your call. Take an inhale. See if you can lower your seat just a little bit. There, nice, Jackie, perfect. Nice. Now, let's take that inhale. Shift the shoulders gently forward. Exhale to squeeze the elbows into the ribcage. And again, we're going to lower all the way down to the mat. Belly and chest down. And then slide the hands back towards your ribcage a little bit, like you're making chicken wings. Inhale. Lift to the sternum. Maybe you stay low. Maybe you extend the arms. Your call. Breathe here again. Exhale, please. Tuck the toes into the mat on an inhale. On your exhale, you're going to push the floor away. Come to tabletop. Stay there if you like, or lift the hips and come into down dog. Let the breath flow. Either tabletop or down dog. We're going to take one more breath. Inhale the gaze towards your hands. Exhale, lower the knees to the floor if you're not already there. And then this time left foot comes to where the left hand was, swinging it up and around. You're going to move that right knee back in space just a bit so that we can again access that quadricep, hip flexor, psoas area. And then this time I'm going to encourage myself to remember that before I lift my torso up, I'm going to bring that, invite that left hip more towards midline. And then hands can come to the top of the thigh. You can always keep the hands down on the floor if that's better for you. Or you're going to reach the arms up and come into just a little bit of that back bend. So the reason these hip openers on the front of the hip are associated with that root chakra. So root chakra is our sense of security and safety. And so when we are needing to flee or fight, we often use these muscles either to run faster, to kick or whatever. So we hold a lot of tension there when we feel fearful. And that also goes along with that sense of smell. Exhale to lower the hands on the either side of the front leg. Shift the hips back in space. Extend that front leg long. Toes lift up. Any amount of bend in that front leg as you prefer. Then breathe here. Opening up the hamstring. Our sense of smell, out of our 5 physical senses, is the only one that has a direct route to our limbic system in our brain, which is where we build, create, and store memory. And so, of all of the senses, our sense of smell is the one that is the most inclined to have a really strong memory associated with it. Inhale, shift the bottom of that front foot down to the floor. Front knee is bent. You're going to float that back knee off the floor. Tuck those back toes out at an angle so the full foot is down on the floor. And with that front knee bent, lift the torso. Hands are always welcome to stay at the hips. There's never a call for you to raise the arms up if you don't choose to that day. Hold and breathe. And then exhale the hands to the hips. Inhale, you're going to float that back heel up. Gaze comes towards the top of the mat. You're going to take that big step forward. And then this time, if you want to try, I'll demo it, but then I'm going to move my feet back together because chair pose with my feet wide just doesn't ever feel right for me. So, but this is what it could look like if it feels right for you. Knees tracking over the toes, otherwise feet together. That tailbone is weighted. You're really dropping the seat down low. Sternum is shining, like your heart is shining like a sunshine through those upper arms. Gaze out towards the tops of your fingertips. And all the weight comes into your right foot. Even before you start moving the left foot, just imagine your right foot is the weight, the foundation. And your left heel slides up and off maybe. Maybe the toes float, maybe they don't. Take an inhale. As you exhale, those left toes slide all the way to the back. You land on the ball mound of that left foot, and then you exhale as you bend into the front knee. Again, your left knee is tracking down towards the floor. When we keep the left leg extended, it does tend to increase the torque on our low back, and it's not quite as accessible to open up that front hip flexor. However, everybody's skeleton is different, so you choose for you. Take another breath here. This time it's that left hand. It's going to exhale. It's going to circle around behind your low back towards your tailbone. Opening up spaces on the right side body as you gaze over the left shoulder. And lunges are a balance pose. They're tricky. Inhaling that left hand back up to grab the right wrist as you extend both legs. And then turn so that your left toes are pointing out to the left side. Exhale as you side bend towards your back foot. Other way, Jackie. Back foot. Oh. There you go. Other way, Lala. There we go. Sky archer to open up the spaces between the side ribs. Inhale, lift the torso, bring the arms out into that letter T. It's not fair when you can't see me. I know. I get it. And then you're going to lower into that front knee, coming into your Virabhadrasana 2. Gazing over your front middle finger. Notice, can you feel equal weight between both feet? A lot of times we like to dump into that front foot. Try to center your torso so that the tailbone is really dropping straight down to the floor and you're pulling weight back with the strength of your back leg. One more breath here. And then exhale the hands to heart center as you extend that front leg again, coming into that side lunge. So this is called Skandasana. You don't want that front knee locked out, so you're going to keep it soft or significantly bent. And start to imagine that you're hinging like a door hinge from your hips. Torso's coming like not to the floor, but bending down. This is where you stay if you choose, or you just can kind of rest your elbows on that back thigh, or drop the hips so that you're resting down on that back heel. Hands on either side of the knee. And then, if you really need it, gazing at something that's not moving in front of you, really using the core muscles from mid-thigh on the right leg all the way up to your abdomen. Perhaps you release the right hand. Now you all have a chair near you, so if you want to do like me and cheat, put your other fingertips on a chair. Otherwise, you cannot cheat and just keep your hands floating. Exhale and release it down. I don't even know why I said cheat, because that's not cheat, that's just making the pose work for you, so never mind. Hands are going to be your support, so you inhale, lift the hips up rather than making all the work in the knee. You're going to move those right toes so they're pointing at me and just slide yourself right over so your elbow is on the right thigh. Left hand, going to come to the left hip. As you do, think about using that left hand to encourage your left shoulder to move open towards the ceiling. If we are kind of letting that shoulder hang down in front, it's not going to get quite as much of that opening, which is what we're going to be moving to or towards for the next few weeks. Taking one more breath here. And then let it out. Your inhale releases both hands. Windmill, pivot on that back foot, frame the front foot. Big giant step forward. Exhale into forward fold. Let the head hang heavy. Imagine that you're releasing all the tension out of the back of the neck. And then inhaling, pressing the hands into the shins, extend the spine up. Exhaling, you're going to move both hands to the left thigh as you would come back into your forward fold. Your weight is going to come into your right foot. Inhaling to lift the torso, allow that left heel to pop off, maybe the left toes pop off, maybe you encourage your left knee to come up with you. If you've got that chair handy, exactly. Use the chair. Pull it in front of you or off to the side, whatever works for you. And you can keep left hand on the outside of the left thigh, right hand on the chair. Other option, if you choose, is both hands with fingers interlaced around the front of the shin. And then as you push the shin into the hands into the shin, kind of encourage that center of gravity to move more towards your center. Again, those isometric tricks are really, really helpful to build that muscle memory and body awareness. So you're going to hang out here if you choose. You're going to hang out here if you choose. If you would like to explore a little bit different variation, you can either bring hand to the ankle, hand to the foot, or big toe grab. And then just as much as that knee wants to extend, let the heel press out in front of you. Maybe it's all the way, maybe it's partway, it doesn't matter. If you want both hands released, you can extend the right arm out to the side. And then exhale. Let's release that down. And then give that right foot a bit of a break. So now, there's two main poses that are associated with Pratyahara, that sense refinement. One is tree pose, because you are settling your roots. You're getting yourself grounded so that nothing is going to push you over or make you fall from your purpose. So keeping that in mind, regardless of what you smell, you're not going to get pushed over. So your right knee is soft. We're going back into right foot as your support. Yep, it's going to kind of tax that right thigh a bit. Your left foot, either toes down, kickstand, and against the calf, or if you choose inner thigh, doesn't matter which one you choose. Using that support is going to help for you to, again, build that muscle memory and start to really get the sense of being so secure in your purpose. If you would like, you can grow your branches. Notice what that does for your balance. There's a couple tricks. One is our breath. When we allow the breath to continually move in evenly and rhythmically, like a wave, it keeps our center of gravity a bit lower. When we hold the breath, it comes up higher and our center of gravity is a little bit shut off. Other one is our gaze. Inhaling now, either one hand or both hands together, bring all of the information that you want right into your center, releasing, letting go out of your branches, anything that's not going to help you stay settled. Shake out that right leg. How's it feel? Ankle, toes, all of it. Let the blood flow. If you're using a chair, I'm going to slide it around to the other side. Let that left foot now be your anchor. Your left knee is always soft as you make it the support. It can be bent as much as you need. And then your right toes can stay kickstand. Maybe you bring that knee up. Maybe you get either the front of the shin or behind the thigh. And then if you'd like, interlace the fingers around the front of the shin, push the shin into the hands into the shin. That isometric movement also helps to keep you a little bit more centered and balanced. And then only if you feel like it's necessary on this side, this is where you can do ankle, foot, or toe, bind, and then any amount, moving that heel out in front of you. Hold and breathe. Exhale, gently, slowly, without reactivity, sit down. Let that left foot, ankle, and thigh get a bit of a break. Back to the left foot, last standing pose. Knee is soft. Right toes are your kickstand or calf or inner thigh, whatever you prefer. Settle yourself in. Notice if even as you're concentrating on this, and I talked about earlier that you're serving something that smells good, that brings you a sense of joy, can you feel that sense of joy, regardless if it's associated with smell or not? And can that overtake what's happening in your mind, the stories that might be happening about what you can and cannot do, either with your breath or growing your branches, if you choose. And then perhaps releasing off your branches what you don't want, so that then as you bring it together, only have what is keeping you centered. Just one more breath. And exhale and release. Feet down. Moving that chair out of the way so that as we get ourselves down on the floor, it doesn't hit in your way. Get hit. And you're going to make your way, help yourself down onto a seated position any way that you want. I'm going to take that last inhale, reach up, exhale, and then swan dive into that forward fold. You can do whatever makes sense in your body. Coming to that forward fold, the half lift, and bring the hands to the floor so you can drop down to your knees. And then swing yourself around to your seat, legs extended out in front of you. Pratyahara is called staff pose. Your knees can be bent as much as is appropriate for you. So if you notice that to keep your legs straight, it's what's happening is that the low back is rounding. Notice if you bend the knees, if you get a little bit more length in the spine. This one's not necessarily, like, keeping the legs all the way straight isn't gonna get you a gold star today. Just don't have any gold stars to give out. So inhale, reach out. Exhale, hinge from the hips, keeping that spine lengthened in its natural curves. Let the hands land where they naturally land. And then you're gonna pause there with that spine in its natural curves. Kind of settle in. Notice if you can feel the sits bones. You're gonna hold here for anywhere from like 2 to 3 breaths. Usually after about 30, 40, 60 seconds, the soft tissues around the joint will release just a little bit. If you feel that happening for you, and you would like to, once you feel a little bit more of a release, a little bit more space, perhaps go ahead and round the spine, letting the head heavy. Hands can either be to or towards the shins, ankles, feet, wherever they naturally fall. And then with the sternum again. As you exhale, and use those hands, help you slide the heels back towards you, landing the feet down on the floor, knees up to the ceiling. And then from here, your hands are going to stay behind the thighs or fronts of the shins. And your intention, perhaps, let's say, is sternum towards the knees, shoulders away from the ears. And I'm sure you can probably tell, and you don't need me to mention it, but you can probably already feel that the core is really working, right? So there's no need to do anything different if that's where you're at. Breathe here, because the body's getting already a lot of work. If you feel that for today, it's going to be necessary for you, you can lift the toes, or you can float the heels. If you float the heels, yes, you're going to have to tilt back on those sits bones a little bit more, but still encourage the sternum towards the knees. Perhaps the heels come up to hip or to knee height. And we're going to hold here and breathe for one more breath. And then whether your feet are on the ground or off the ground, bring the feet together, knees apart, hands on the ankles. And then we will all drop the feet down, knees open, right into our Baddha Konasana, our bound angle pose. The second pose that we'll be working as a focus pose over the next 6 weeks is called turtle pose, and its foundation is here in this bound angle. So again, your hands are ankles, shins, feet, wherever they might be comfortable. And then elbows can be towards the shins or knees if you feel like gently encouraging the knees apart is good for you. Sternum is reaching towards the toes, and at the same time, the chin is pointing towards the floor. So it's not necessarily where there's a lot of torque on that cervical spine. Still keeping the spine mostly lengthened. And then, all right, so we will be going over a few minutes today because I spent so much time explaining what we're going to be doing over the next 6 weeks. If anybody needs to leave in the next 3 minutes, can you give me a heads up so we can go? 45. Okay. And those of you online know if you need to jump off, just go ahead and do what you need to do. Otherwise, we are all going to make our ways onto our back. You can slide the knees over to the side and actually help yourself down on your side and around, or you can lower yourself down by maybe having leverage behind the leg, whatever works for you. Once you're there, just pause, notice. Notice, does it feel like you were able to release a little bit more tension that you unconsciously were holding just because all the muscles on the backside of the body that had to hold you upright all day long finally don't have to do that. So again, that root chakra being associated with a sense of safety, security, stabilism, stabilized. Literally feel, your body feels like something has its back right now. Extend that left, or keep that left foot where it is, excuse me. Draw that right knee up in towards the chest. And then you can either grab front of the right shin, or maybe you want to hook the thigh with the elbow. And then you're going to encourage that right thigh to kind of come around and wrap around the outside of the rib cage and then pull in towards center. And just, if you'd like, the left foot can stay where it is, or you can extend the left leg long. One more breath. Bringing the left hand to the right shin. Take an inhale to prepare. Release the leg with the right hand, and then as you exhale, draw the right knee, right leg over to the left side. Your right arm extends out long from the shoulder, so you're coming into a supine twist, chin coming over to your right shoulder. You can choose what you want to do with your left leg. I come into a supine twist with my left knee bent and my knees kind of sort of stacked together. That feels better on my low back than keeping my left leg extended. Go ahead, experiment and see what you like best for you. And then your inhale faces that right leg back to the floor, coming back to center, knees up. Exhale, center the pelvis. And then your inhale draws the left knee up and in. Same options, either front of the shin, outer thigh, perhaps allowing that outer thigh again to wrap around the outside of the rib cage and then snug itself back in towards center. The breath flowing. Like, extend the right leg long. Two, maybe 8 more breaths here. Now let's keep it at 2. One more breath. Your inhale, left hand comes over to the right leg. You release the right arm. Right hand comes to the left leg. You release the left arm. And then you're exhaling that knee supine twist over to the right. Chin can come to the left shoulder if you like. Find the anchor, steady your mind, knowing that you only have just a couple more precious minutes left here for yourself. So drawing your attention, focus, back to anchor that you can steady your mind. The breath, perhaps that sensation of joy. Our next natural inhale, whatever that may be, we'll draw the knees back to center. Chin comes back up. And then making your way all the way down onto your back, extending the legs long, releasing all the tension out of your feet, letting the ankle bones fall open to the sides. Or the toes fall open to the sides so the ankle should release. It's maybe a better way. That will help to release tension out of the hip sockets. Back to the breath. Keep the breath flowing. All that full body relaxation, sensation of completely supported. Able to let go, release physically, mentally, emotionally. Be supported by the ground. Thoughts, create emotions. Our emotions can create thoughts. Thoughts can turn into stories, narratives that we tell ourselves, and often those emotions and thoughts are instigated by what comes in through our senses. Many times in our current world, that information is distracting us from what we were currently trying to stay focused and attend to. So training and finding those senses to be used as tools so that we can bring in the information that we need, so that we can build the memories, experiences through the limbic system that serve us well. When that sensory system becomes overwhelmed, finding those tools to calm it down, release our attachments, Take in another lengthened inhale. Start to bring small movements to the toes. Allowing that movement to move into the ankles and hips, wrists and shoulders. If it would feel good, always welcome to take a long full body stretch, reaching the fingertips over the head, pointing the toes away from you, pulling apart right from the middle part of the body. And then any way that makes sense to you, maybe exhaling and rolling over to a side body and pausing for a moment before you roll up. Any way that makes sense to you, coming up to a seated position. And landing the hands either palms down on the legs or perhaps palms together in the base of the palm, right at the base of the sternum. You can either keep the eyes open, gaze down, or close the eyes. Take another lengthened inhale. Set an intention for what you want to utilize this last hour. You want to bring away from it as you go into the rest of your day. And there will be a collective moment of gratitude just internally, the ancients of yoga that discovered this practice and were willing to pass it on generations and across the world. Today. Take one more breath in. Exhale to lower the chin down towards the chest. Release the hands, blink the eyes open. Om Shanti. Thank you. So next week's even more subtle because next week is taste, and it's a little hard to experience taste when you do a yoga class, but we have some, we'll make it work.
Does that mean we should bring chocolate to class?
I thought of it, Amy. I did consider it, but after talking, I don't know if you remember my oldest daughter that lives in Chicago, member, and yeah, after talking to her and all of her trauma sensitive work and my own trauma sensitive work, I decided maybe that's better to not do. But if you want to at home, when nobody else is going to be impacted, you go do you, Amy. That'd be fabulous.
There's got to be an advantage to telecommuting in, right?
That's right. That's right. It's something the rest of us all don't.
Have a good week,
Amy. Have a
Take
great
care.
week.
Yeah, bye.
Bye-bye.